Stakeholders in the nation's maritime industry have had to contend with issues having to do with containers used for the shipping of goods, with accusations and counter-accusations making a fortune from container deposits. This has continued to generate reactions from stakeholders. Your trusty port economic regulator, Nigerian Shippers Council, is not about to stand by quietly. How best this issue can be resolved in the overall interests of the various stakeholders was the focus of a meeting held in Lagos. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Shipper, the flagship program of the maritime industry in Nigeria. My name is Rekia Zikru Yagoyaju. We'll take a short break now. Stay with us.
Nigerian Shippers Council, they to serve you well. No matter the problem, we go solve them for you.
Yes, so the Nigerian Shippers Council, they feel in a parole now for every level. And as soon as goods, they move from port A, go enter port B with a measure within on a needle. For the Nigerian Shippers Council, we don't sharp proper to fit hear you wella, work with you wella, and help you fit serve your customers them better, no matter where them day. As we country port economic regulator, the Nigerian Shippers Council get every now to fit make government consider the problem where shippers them they face. Visit we office for number 4 or to buy your daily show your daily lane. Papa email us for nsc@shipperscouncil.gov.ng. We website now www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng. Nigerian Shippers Council with a meeting for the port of Nane.
Welcome back. You're watching The Shipper, brought to you by Nigeria's port economic regulator, Nigerian Shippers Council. The proposed introduction of automated container indemnity clearinghouse is one of a few proposals to address the issues surrounding container deposits. Nigerian Shippers Council is front and center on this matter, and therefore it was the focus of a stakeholders meeting held recently in Lagos.
Container deposit is not to this issue. It has been on for God knows how long. At one time, there was no container deposits in this country until shipping lines started complaining that they don't receive their empty containers. And they introduced the container deposit to enable people to return containers that are given to them on lease. By and large, we have this bad traffic in Apapa and Tinkan area that is making it absolutely difficult for trucks to return the empty containers as at when due. It has been on for so many years. Last year was a bad year for shippers. Exports could stay on the highway for 2 months before they have access into the port. Also, empty containers have been a major issue affecting shippers. So it is still there. And NPA decided to ask all shipping lines to have container holding bays so that the empty containers will no longer come through the port but be deposited at the holding bays for the shipping lines.
Additional Abiodun, who was at the forum, compiled this report presented by Lucy Ulugbe.
These are containers. They are empty or loaded with goods imported into the country. Shippers of goods, through their clearing agents, pay a certain amount as deposits to use the containers for import or export. If all goes well, they expect to get a refund when the containers are returned to the shipping lines. These deposits cover for loss of or damage to the containers. This age-old practice is backed by regulation. According to the shipping lines, what has happened over the years is that a large number of these containers have been either damaged or not returned to the shipping lines, a development that forced the shipping lines to keep the deposits made before the transaction. However, some stakeholders have raised concerns over container deposits, accusing shipping lines of making so much money by insisting on making refunds directly to importers instead of clearing agents who made the deposits directly to the shipping companies when they do make refunds. This and other issues led to a proposal to introduce the Automated Container Indemnity Clearinghouse. The recent meeting of representatives of Nigerian Shippers Council (NSC), Nigerian Ports Authority (NPA), Council for Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria (CRFFN), terminal operators and shipping companies was to fine-tune grey areas for smooth implementation of the policy at the instance of the Federal Ministry of Transportation. Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council was represented at the forum by Director, Consumer Affairs Department, Chief Kajitan Agu.
The purpose of this meeting is in respect of a new scheme that was proposed to the Federal Ministry of Transportation, and that is the Empty Container Indemnity Guarantee Scheme. The implementation of that scheme is expected to abolish the payment of container deposit by shippers. The Federal Ministry of Transportation received this proposal from a consultant, FRM Communication. After a critical review of the proposal, the Federal Ministry of Transportation directed the Nigeria Shippers Council, the Nigeria Ports Authority, and Council for the Regulation of Freight Forwarding in Nigeria to further review the proposal. It is your duty to look at the scheme. It is your duty to critique it. It is your duty to make the necessary valid input, and at the end, either validate or reject it. That is where we are here today.
A paper presentation on Automated Container Indemnity Warehouse with a focus on operators at the ports set the tone for discussions at the meeting.
We are trying to use technology to eliminate the container deposit fee in the maritime sector. You agree with me that for about 2 decades now, shippers have been paying container deposit fee to the shipping company so as to compel them to return empty container back to the shipping companies. But however, the challenge has always been that when these deposits are made, the shippers don't get their money back. It's either the shipping company pays the money to the freight forwarders and it gets trapped at that point, or the shipping companies comes up with so many things as to reason why they shouldn't return the money, like, okay, our container is dirty, or was delayed in return, and all those issues, which is a major issue for the shippers and has been a concern to them, which they report to their regulators and their various associations. So premise on these challenges and tie down billions of naira just because you want your container back, we now came up with this idea. Okay, let's come up with a technology solution that will enable the industry to track these containers, both laden and the empty containers, right from the ports for import up to the importer's warehouse where they offload, and the return of the container back to the shipping company's holding bay. So that was why we now came up with this idea, because we strongly believe once the system is operational, there will be no need for container deposit fee again. The billions of naira that is being paid for container deposit fee will totally be eliminated. There won't be issue of capital flight again. And we as an organization that we introduce this will enable us to engage more power, more Nigerians will be employed to manage and drive this scheme. The shippers will be happy because they will have enough fund at their disposal to run their operation rather than having millions tied down by way of container deposit fee.
There were reactions from terminal operators and shipping companies to the paper presentation.
Government has, in its own wisdom, has charged the three agencies collectively. This proposal was directed to the Federal Ministry of Transport, but they collectively know that it is not a singular function of any agency. They say the three agencies must meet and critically analyze the potentials in this proposal so that we can have an informed decision that Nigeria can leverage to improve on its competitiveness. We don't expect people to say yes. We expect people to say yes and no. And it's our duty to further analyze the yeses and the nos and see where are they coming from.
A laden container that has been cleared from the port within the maritime logistic ring, which is Apapa Mile 2, was costing about 1.2, 1.3 million. Today, if you go and check the facts, you'll see that this same movement is taking about 300,000, which is a world apart.
Chike Ogwejiofo, who represented Maersk Line, wanted to know if the proposed policy would not account for return of boxes to their owners or if there is provision for payment if boxes are not returned.
The charts. From the charts, I don't know if you checked the process of import booking, whether you considered all those things before coming up with this. With the proposal. I think it would be important that you check the process of booking from abroad, who books, but at the point where the shipper is booking and at the point it is sent to the consignee. You should also understand that before cargo gets to Nigeria, in the case of imports, it can always be amended. So in that case, you also need to consider that. So the details imputed, populated at the point of booking abroad. In the event that it changes, how do you handle that?
Russell Ovonu from CMA CGM sought to know if the plan included the containers that are either missing or damaged.
I would like to remind that the amount of deposits doesn't cover the value of containers. It's very low. It's a way for the shipping line to keep a kind of pressure on the customer to bring back the empty unit. It's very important for us, the deposit. And also, it seems that NSC was working on the project of insurance with all shipping lines. I would like to know if project will be replaced by this one.
Mrs. Agbola Odufua from APM Terminals also observed that the proposal did not clearly outline the role of terminal operators in the proposed system.
Container deposit has really not, the terminal is actually the prerogative, largely the prerogative of the shipping lines, but I can also see that there's an inclusion of the terminal operators in terms of exiting the containers. And I think we have not also seen that the operation of the terminal in respect to exits is also indicated in your presentation. I also think you may have also missed out on the way the terminal actually works.
It's expected that the introduction of the Container Indemnity Clearinghouse will address the various concerns around container deposits and administration in the maritime industry.
These discussions for a substitute to the container deposit have been ongoing for about 2 years, and the solution that will make all stakeholders happy appears to be in sight. Watch the space for updates. It's now time to join Oluwasegun Aloko on the Tidbits segment for news in the maritime sector around the world.
To commemorate the International Anti-Corruption Day, Nigerian Shippers Council, in collaboration with the Independent and Corrupt Practices Commission, ICPC, organized a work to sensitize stakeholders and Nigerians to fight corruption, especially in the maritime sector. The work, which began at NSC's headquarters in Apapa, is part of the function of the Anti-Corruption and Transparency Monitoring Unit, said the Director, Human Resources Management, Mrs. Adako Okam.
Today actually is the International Day for Anti-Corruption. And the Nigerian Shippers Council, in collaboration with ICPC, is embarking on this work to sensitize stakeholders and Nigerians in general on the need to fight corruption.
The Secretary of the Anti-Corruption and Transparency Monitoring Unit of Nigerian Shippers Council, Mrs. Nkechi Emeruwa, noted that the sensitization has brought about feasible development and significant progress in the Nigerian maritime sector.
This is the fourth time Nigerian Shippers Council is joining the global world to mark the International Anti-Corruption Day. And each year, there's always an improvement. We've made considerable progress within the organization and outside with agencies that we interface with. And based on those points, I would say that there has been improvement.
Based on the major duties of the Commission, the duties are prevention, public enlightenment, and enforcement. And under that prevention, there is a part that was signed with head of service to form anti-corruption and transparency units in all MDAs. That actually will now serve as mini ICPC in all MDAs. Basically, that is what formed the basis for collaboration with Nigerian Shippers Council.
The Complaints Unit, Monitoring and Enforcement Division of the Regulatory Services Department, and the Special Duties Department are all units, division, and department of Nigerian Shippers Council, working together assiduously and harmoniously towards the common purpose of restoring sanity and order at the nation's seaports. They exist to enable the Council effectively fulfill its mandate, and over the years, since the establishment of the Nigerian Shippers Council, the maritime sector has seen improvements from the activities of the Council. Let's go over to our complaint register for the week. A total number of 23 complaints were received. 8 have been resolved, and 15 are ongoing investigations. Some of these complaints include container deposits, arbitrary charges, non-issuance of delivery order, damaged container, unlawful detention, and unreturned empty container. Do not forget, if you are a regulated service provider, such as terminal operators, barge operators, shipping companies, freight forwarders, and clearing agents, amongst others, you should register with the Council. Failure to do so will attract penalties. Registration can be done via the website www.shipperstradedata.gov.ng. It's time to dive into the global space for some news on shipping. A ship carrying 20,000 tons of fertilizer from the Chinese manufacturing company, Seawin Baltec, meant for delivery to Sri Lanka, is heading back after being unsuccessful in reaching an agreement with Sri Lanka. The ship is to reach Singapore, where the firm has launched an international arbitration process for dealing with a growing dispute revolving around a contract with regards to fertilizer exports to Sri Lanka. In the United Arab Emirates, UAE, the Minister of Energy and Infrastructure, Suhail Mohammed Al-Mazrouhi, has pledged to work with the International Maritime Organization, IMO, build a tougher, more resilient industry, and on the challenges ahead. Speaking at the opening of the Sea Trade Maritime Middle East 2021 in Dubai, the minister thanked all who voted for the UAE in its successful election as a Category B member of IMO Council for the third consecutive time. Danish container shipping giant Maersk has unveiled the design of its next-generation large container vessels powered by carbon-neutral methanol. The company has ordered a total of 8 16,000 TEU bus ships from South Korean shipbuilder Hyundai Heavy Industries in August this year. The first green methanol fuel unit is planned to be delivered to Maersk in 2024. The new series of vessels will have 20% improved energy efficiency per transported container compared to the industry average, Maersk said. In New Zealand, a severely injured seafarer has been taken to the hospital following an accident on a vessel which berthed at the container wharf at the downtown waterfront container terminal on Tamaki Drive in Auckland. The seafarer slipped and got trapped in a raising gangway, the stairs which lead from the vessel to the wharf. A spokesperson from St. John, a charitable organization providing ambulance service, confirmed that the crew member has been shifted to the hospital to be treated. The Santos Port Authority, Wilson Sons, and Israel's maritime tech firm DocTech have signed an agreement for the use of seabed monitoring technology. The three companies will aim at studying and collaborating to improve real-time monitoring of the operational depth of the navigation channel and access to docking berths at the Port of Santos using Wilson Sons tugboats. The solution developed by DocTech maps the navigation channel depth in real time and can understand the silting patterns of ports, predicting how seabed variations affect navigation safety and cargo transportation. Between the southern Swedish coastal town of Isad and the Danish island of Bornholm in Baltic Sea, a collision had occurred between the UK-flagged cargo ship Scott Carrier and Danish cargo vessel Karin. Following the collision, one of the ships capsized, while two of the crew members are reportedly missing and search operations are underway. A preliminary investigation into gross negligence in maritime traffic is being conducted under the direction of prosecutors, according to the Coast Guard. And that's it on Tidbits for this week.
The Nigerian Shippers Council is now better poised with responsive systems in place to help you and other shippers get seamless, stress-free transition for your clients' goods from point A to B. Today at the Nigerian Shippers Council, timeliness, orderliness, transparency and efficiency is all we care about. Put your complaint through to our helpline. Visit us at number 4 Ayodele Shoyode Lane, Apapa, Lagos, or reach us on www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng.
Nigerian Shippers Council, we meet you at the point of your need.
Nigerian Shippers Council, we meet you at the port of your need.
And this is where we drop the anchor on the shipper this week. It's always a pleasure to bring you this program. The greater pleasure, though, is you joining us. Before we sign off, a reminder to all regulated service providers to register with Nigerian Shippers Council on www.shipperstradedata.gov.ng. Thanks for watching The Shipper, and do have a swimmingly great week ahead. Goodbye.